Did you know if you drop a like and subscribe in the next 5 seconds, nothing will happen but it will put a giant smile on my face? Fortnite Chapter 2 Season 6 has only been out a few days, and despite that being the case, with everything juicy revealed to us in terms of the fourth member of the seven, the Foundation, appearing in the Fortnite universe and being integrated into the storyline, what if I told you that the interesting things haven't stopped pouring out since the release of this primitive season, as not only do we know what's under the mask of the Foundation, a new creature that we can tame or ride in the Fortnite universe hatching very soon and how it's been right in front of our eyes this entire time, and the whole of last season, our first look at the brand new Batman Armored Zero skin that many people forgot about considering these comics are releasing in April, old name locations and events potentially returning from the Chapter 1 island in Chapter 2, and of course that's just scratching the surface of what we're going to be going over today, so of course make sure you're sticking around and watching the full thing, because there's so much news pouring out by the day and I guarantee you guys want to stay up to date with the recent Fortnite update or what's upcoming. Quickly before we dive into the madness however, make sure to hit the big red button, as 70% of you guys watching right now aren't subscribed, believe it or not. After all, it's only going to benefit you if you turn on all notifications to get notified as soon as more intel is dropping in the world of Fortnite, and obviously I give 5 subscribers every day, which recently has been the Battle Pass. Now before I prove I do that however, I just need to give a huge shout out and thank you to everybody rocking code FriendlyMachine inside the Fortnite item shop of course. As an epic partner, this is the best thing you can do to support me as an individual creator, and if you let me know down below in the comments you're rocking the code, you could receive a heart, and not only that, have your hearted comments showcased on screen in the very next video like these lucky subscribers today. And of course if you want to be showcased on screen but for another reason being gifted in the next video, maybe even the Battle Pass, make sure you're subscribing to the channel with all notifications turned on and then comment your Epic Games ID down below, so perhaps you could be shown surprised with the Battle Pass in the very next video. But with all that said, we've already wasted enough time, let's dive into the madness of what seems to be this wild and primitive season, Chapter 2 Season 6, everything that's been secretly teased right in front of our eyes, or what's upcoming based off the game's coding. So I figured we'd start out with, well, what happened at the start of Chapter 2 Season 6 to do with the Foundation and ultimately who's under this mask, revealing us for the first time to the face of one of the seven. For those that don't know, yes, this is indeed the leader of the seven, even though it's the fourth member revealed and there's still 3 that we currently don't know of what they look like in suit form and even their masks. And despite us not knowing how we get the Foundation skin as of now, considering the secret or earnable skin throughout this season that's yet to be revealed is Neymar Jr., we perhaps already know who's behind the mask, or should I say behind the voice of the Foundation, obviously revealed to us when we see him for the first time in this trailer. As you can see from the tweet on screen right now by Ben over on Twitter, who's a writer for Top 5 Gaming, so you know this is legitimate, The Rock posted an IG story about how March 16th was a really big day, and then mentions the Foundation at the end of the video with his eyebrows raised. It's very possible he was the voice actor for the Foundation, but I asked Epic Games and they refused to comment, which is very strange considering they usually just tell people who the voice actors are, but obviously then other people have made this correlation to the formation of The Rock's tattoos in comparison to the placement of the Foundation's kind of stature and armor. And there was even this tweet from ages ago saying, why does The Rock float look like a Fortnite skin of The Rock? And then somebody put, don't give them any ideas, and Dwayne The Rock Johnson himself, or commonly referred to as DJ, put way ahead of you BD, great minds. And if we take a look at the date from when this was published, being the 26th of November 2020, he would have obviously known that he was going to be integrated or voicing a Fortnite character by then, considering Epic Games planned things way in advance. An example of this is, well, the short that was released in Season 9 around the time of the World Cup, showing not only Castaway Jonesy that was later only implemented in Chapter 2 Season 3, but the upcoming flare gun weapon, which bearing in mind also was implemented not even just in Chapter 2 Season 3, but from being teased in Chapter 1 Season 9, it was on an entirely new map. Hypex, another data miner, also mentions in the files regarding the Foundation that the word DJ is underneath the Foundation in terms of the voice lines or something like that in the coding, and DJ is commonly referred to as obviously Dwayne Johnson, being the acronym for Dwayne Johnson itself. And to be honest, with all these things pointing toward Dwayne The Rock Johnson being underneath this mask, people are now memeing that this will be a selectable style. But so you guys can make your own mind up, as nothing is confirmed yet, I'll be playing that video where Dwayne The Rock Johnson goes on about March 16th and even mentions the Foundation, so you can get a good look at this for yourself. So let's roll that clip.
The date is March 16th, and it's a little bit before midnight, so in a few minutes it's going to be March 17th. You're like, no shit, Rock. I know you know. I just wanted to catch you before March 16th ended, because March 16th, 2021, around the world, today was a big day, man. Today was a big day. Now, of course, today is a meaningful day depending on where you're at in the world and what you have going on in your world. But in a certain world and in a certain culture, today was a big day. And there is connective tissue between that world and my world, and that culture and my culture, and that DNA and my DNA. And that is, as I continue to put in the work with my own two hands and continue to these calluses up, as we all do, we all put in the work. This is all done to strengthen and evolve and grow the power and the force known as the Foundation.
So what are your guys' opinions on that? Let me know down below in the comments regarding The Rock being integrated into Fortnite perhaps. And moving on, speaking of locations or things to do with our Chapter 2 Season 6 cinematic trailer, which obviously was leading into the event itself, Sweet Rabbit had this to say over on Twitter regarding, well, what we saw for a split second right here. Yeah, it seems to be like a real-world version of where the 0 point is actually located in Fortnite, hovering above the ground before it got, well, you know, kind of casted around by all of this Spire stuff. Wait a minute, the 0 point was actually added on Google Maps recently as a shrine in a desert area. As you can see, this is alongside the Durr Burger that again was in real life and used in the Season 5 Chapter 1 cinematic trailer. And in the Season 6 cinematic trailer, again as I mentioned, we got a glimpse of the real world where some people were seen to be praying to the 0 point, so it seems. And with this information found on Google Maps, or this connection made to our real world in the trailer, could this be what The Rock was referring to in terms of his world being connected to another? Honestly, I can't wait to see the route of the storyline and where it goes this season, considering there's not only so many references to Kevin the Cube returning to perhaps stabilise what's now primitive, considering the 0 point had to be contained, and believe it or not, the collaborations might not just stop there in terms of The Rock being one of the 7 or at least voicing the Foundation, as Denny tweeted out this, who's had many concepts bought of him by Fortnite, including the Isabelle skin, and they stated over on Twitter, Fortnite Season 6 is Breath of the Wild, obviously being Zelda, and as you can see there's so many references to Zelda right here, or Breath of the Wild itself. It's actually kind of mind-blowing that nobody picked up on this before him, especially data miners. I'm guessing this means that we're going to be seeing further Zelda collaborations, maybe even a Link and Zelda skin at some point in the world of Fortnite. I don't know how Epic Games could make sense of them appearing, however, from other universes randomly now, considering the 0 point sealed off, and obviously, well, in the 0 point finale in itself, Agent John Jones had to throw his looper into the 0 point, overriding the device itself, and who knows, maybe this is where Epic Games got the idea to add wildlife or NPC animals that we can perhaps interact with or tame or even eliminate to pick up loot. And speaking of collaborations and these wildlife animals that we can now see around the Fortnite island, it doesn't just stop there in terms of what we can see on the image that I just showed, being wolves, chickens, and even frogs. And this next animal is one that's extinct in our real world, but could be appearing in Fortnite perhaps sooner than we think, as there's so much evidence pointing toward raptors appearing in Fortnite. Fortori tweeted out the following: we could possibly see raptors getting added in the future as wildlife. A wild raptor eliminated player name, a wild raptor knocked out player name were added into the game's coding in terms of, you know, text that appears on screen when you actually get knocked or eliminated in game. And there is also an egg in the files related to wildlife, which we can also see in game where Hunter's Haven used to be. Leading back to what we mentioned about collaborations not stopping there too, believe it or not, this has been a clue right in front of our eyes since Chapter 2 Season 5 with the implementation of Stealthy Stronghold, as when this was first added in the prior season, many people made the resemblance to Jurassic World or Jurassic Park, and now with data miners coming out stating yes, raptors are going to be upcoming, being one of the main characters shown throughout Jurassic Park in itself or the movies like Jurassic World, with Hypex straight up saying looks like raptors will be the next wildlife animals, and following up by stating they will spawn in forests and they are included in the Tame Wildlife Challenge, and they'll have their own challenges too. Also, there's another unreleased animal codename Whiff, like the Hunter's Cloak item, but I guess we're yet to find out what that is actually for. And how cool would this be then if we could tame the raptors? Not only that, but then once tamed, ride them around the island like we can with the already existing cars, but they obviously don't need fueling up. Let me know down below in the comments, but considering we already know they're located in forests, as soon as they're updated into the game from just the game's coding, we'll see if this is the case literally the first day. In terms of future updates, however, and how they're going to be affecting our map, or even how Kevin the Cube could be returning, it's for sure confirmed from the cinematic trailer trailer at this short section right here that Happy Hamlet, this POI, will be returning in the snowy section of the map near the mountains. Here's what Happy Hamlet looked like in image form, as I don't have a cinematic way back from Chapter 1, but yes, it was obviously added into the snowy area after it washed up on the island. And with Epic Games showing it specifically in this trailer, it doesn't always mean it could be added this season. They could be saving it for later down the line and simply teasing something way in advance. How crazy would it be if we literally saw Happy Hamlet return at Christmas, obviously in the snowy area, then complementing this wintry Christmas theme? And despite us just simply having to wait on this until it's confirmed about anything, whether it is or not upcoming, we at least know the style of map changes that Epic Games want to be implementing this season anyways, as they're stating the following to Verge, the magazine, or the news article: "We're trying as much as possible to tell you a story that feels like it's being told in a moment." And despite this being kind of cryptic and leaving room for anything possible to be upcoming that we perhaps don't expect, something that we do expect to be upcoming based off a ton of hints is, of course, as I previously mentioned or teased at the beginning of the video, Kevin the Cube. Our first hints toward this happening were from last season, with so many POIs that were similar to our last chapter lining up with where they once stood, and with the spawning location on the outskirts of Paradise Palms lining up with the redacted bunker in Chapter 2 once placed over this map from Chapter 1. Many people thought behind these bunker doors we could be seeing, well, Kevin the Cube in itself, or at least could be spawning in on this mountain range or one of the snowy mountain areas outside it. And remember, as Donald Mustard said when the 2-year anniversary, I believe, of Kevin the Cube came around, or since its initial drawing anyways, stated it might be gone forever, meaning also it might not be. We perhaps now know why it rolled around our Chapter 1 island to these specific spots imprinting runes, as these rune locations it imprinted on the Chapter 1 island match up with the spire locations, not the main one, but the one stemming off from the middle, obviously surrounded by orange scenery. And here's some more things that Tasty noticed and published to Twitter, stating the following: "A little something that I noticed in the Battle Pass trailer, darkness that lures within," and then proceeds to show the spire outfit. Next clip talks about demanding balance and shows Raz. Raz is cube related but emits 0 point energy, so does this mean that the cube merged with the 0 point back then after it initially kind of exploded in the butterfly event for Season 6 and Chapter 1? I mean, for those that can't remember, this is entirely possible, considering this was directly above where we knew the 0 point to be located at Loot Lake or underneath it. And before exploding, yep, Kevin the Cube, he dripped something down into this kind of void or whirlpool directly below the floating island of Kevin the Cube in itself. And despite so many hints already emerging about Kevin the Cube making his return based off what he did in our prior chapter reflecting to relevancy now, don't forget when the Batman 0 point issues release, these will reflect the current events or the soon-to-be upcoming events on the Chapter 2 island. And despite us already being revealed to the Rebirth Harley Quinn style that we'll be able to get for free from redeeming a code from one of the issues, here's our first hint at what the armoured Batman Zero skin will look like that we can obviously redeem from getting codes and redeeming all of them on all 6 issues. But with all that said, don't forget before you leave today to slap a like in the video down below and save it to the like playlist to perhaps keep referring back to it if you didn't soak everything in your first watch. Subscribe to the channel with all notifications on right now, as it will update you guys as soon as I upload every time videos like this. Speaking of videos of mine too, I recommend watching either one of these on screen right now, either the secrets about Chapter 2 Season 6 so far, or how to get all the Jonesy styles, as honestly they're not only really informative but really helpful. And with that said, hopefully I can catch you, yes you, in the very next video.